like how do you develop confidence in your identity as an Australian Asian or as like Asian American, you know, Asian Australian,
Asian Australian, yeah, Asian Australians.
So like how do you develop that? And I think that part of the wonderful thing about like subtle Asian traits and like subtle Asian mental health is the idea that we finally have a place where we have a shared experience.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as much toxicity as there is,
it wasn't like that at the beginning.
It was as much garbage as there is that gets thrown around. I think as much as we disagree about some specific things, the reason why we can argue about them is because they are a shared experience.
Right.
Like whether you agree or disagree is not that, like you are free to debate that for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But the fundamental understanding is that you both understand what that experience is like.
Yeah, and that's a great feeling.
And that in and of itself helps to develop this like identity. And I think that our quote unquote boba culture, like a lot of slack for being very superficial, but there are a lot of things that we share that we don't necessarily vocalize, but we understand.
Yeah.
And just because we do it through stupid memes sometimes doesn't make it any less of a real shared experience.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the ways that, you know, you can kind of develop that confidence, you know? And definitely. I know that a lot of people don't have the luxury of being in an Asian area, right? And that's okay. I think that the wonder of the internet helps us to create that. And I think I've seen a lot of posts in the past on subtle Asian mental health about like, hey, there are no Asians in my area. Like, what do I do? And that's a real struggle. But I think the wonderful thing about the internet now is that we can have that.
Yeah.
We can have a place. Yeah. And I think that we hope that subtle Asian mental health is one of those places where we can develop a better understanding of ourselves. And I think part of that process starts with just venting. And I think that eventually I would love to see us move forward in understanding ourselves and understanding where we come from and really being able to integrate our identities into the rest of our lives.
But also like the really specificity of subtle Asian traits, especially at the beginning when I first joined and it was just like a bunch of Australians. It was so deeply specific to the Asian Australian experience from like Melbourne and Sydney, and it was.
Do you feel like we hijacked it as Americans?
You Americans hijacked it. We were so angry about it. But like back like 2 years ago when it first started, it was so specific, and as Asian Australians, we don't have the same culture that Asian Americans do because, like for example, our history is a bit shorter and. We don't have the same cohesiveness to our community that you guys do. And so to have that after so long and like we never had anything like that before, it was kind of life-changing. And I think that kind of like accelerated also my journey on like mental health as well. Because like from the first time it was like this deep sense of like belonging and like thinking, oh yeah, like these weird things that my parents do, or like
I'm not the only one whose parents do these weird things.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that I've touched on before, like that cohesiveness, that community, that sense of belonging is something that is important in helping us to develop that
identity
and that self-confidence that I was talking about.
Yeah. And I feel like it definitely helped me.
So
just one of the many things that I needed over the past few years.
Yeah, I think that it's a common thing. I think I've heard a lot of stories about how like, wow, it's nice to have a space like this, or it's nice to, it's not like something that people would talk about on like subtle Asian traits.
Yeah.
But.
No, people used to talk about that quite a lot, about how it was good to finally have this community.
Until it became memes and
I mean, it was always memes, but it was like it used to be very specific Australian memes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you hijacked us.
I mean, okay, being part of the Asian diaspora is not an Asian Australian only thing. All right,
You should have been full Asian Australian and betrayed.
You know, I think the fact that we have similarities despite being from different countries is
But you also have like very specific Asian American things. So like when those memes sort of appearing, we were like, what is this? We don't understand this.
Well, if you come to America, you'll understand.
Yeah, well, next year. Okay.